All right. Good afternoon, everybody. It is Wednesday, February 10th, 2021. It is 3 p.m. or slightly after that, Eastern Standard Time, which means it's time for Women in Business. Sorry, we were a bit late getting started today. Unfortunately, StreamYard was having a little bit of a glitch, but we seem to be ready to go now. You also may notice that I am upstairs today. You can see just a little bit of the purple chair over my shoulder there. We're not perfect with this setup yet, but we have established that we can get internet up here and it can be stable. So one thing at a time. Next thing is getting the arrangement of the studio right so that you can see things a little bit better. But hey, progress takes time, right? Anyway, I'm so excited y'all are here today. I'm really excited about this show. My guest today is Marj Easterling, who is a well-traveled, eclectically educated mother of two sons. A gifted artist with a knack for subtle sarcasm, she owns Big Lick Screen Printing LLC, a creative custom decorated apparel and promo shop in Roanoke, Virginia. BLSP has become known for empowering other female entrepreneurs to develop their own brands and for promoting local small businesses. With a focus on growing and expanding their services, her company serves as a role model to other women-owned businesses. In her spare time, she trains Kempo, blogs, travels the world, vends horror conventions, and has great adventures with her grandbabies. So who could be more interesting? Let's bring her in and say hello. Marj, thanks for joining us.
Hey, y'all.
We're so excited to have you here. And there's so many things I want to talk to you about, certainly empowering women business owners and things like that. But I want to start with something that I noticed when I was reading one of your emails, and it made me think. So this is the signature on your email. Warlord of all things magical, master artistic adventurist, very occasional ink slinger, and fairy godmother as needed. First of all,
Fairy goth mother.
goth mother? Is that what it says? Oh, yeah. It is. I love that even more. That's total. I didn't even notice that. That is totally great.
Girl, I'm right.
Fairy goth mother. I want to be I don't wear black ever, but I want to be a fairy goth mother now too. I love that. But what I wanted to talk to you about that is, first of all, that catches your attention right away when you see that. It's like, this is the person with a sense of humor. She knows who she is. She's comfortable with that. But a lot of women struggle with how much of their personality to put in what they do for their business, or they feel like the only personality they can have is, I'm a sweet, nice woman running a sweet little business. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So so how much thought did you put into did you put any thought into doing that, or you were just like?
Honestly, I did put a little bit of thought into it, and it's an interesting story because I've been for several years, and a good friend of mine who was also a customer, I'm planning to him about not being able to have people won't get back in touch with me if they owe me money. And now our policy is, well, it used to be 50% up front and then 50% when you pick it up, right?
Right.
And so I had a couple of people that would do a PO, and then I had two customers that just like disappeared with the PO, and I'm like, this is taking long, you know what I mean? And so that policy has since changed, by the way. Now we're at 100% up front, just like Amazon and everybody else. Just saying. So, but I created a fake email account. And I Googled the most masculine name trending, which was Connor. And then I used the last name Buchanan because my family is Native American and Scottish descent. We're Buchanan clan. So Connor Buchanan is one of my email addresses. And I sent an email to these people and had a response back within a few hours and a check within 5 days. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like it's 20,
Oh,
it was like 2018 and we're still dealing with this. But I like the thought had never occurred to me that it was because I was a woman. And my friend McKinley was like, hey, I'm telling you, you don't realize that this is happening. You need to pay attention. And so since he addressed it, yeah. And so then I was like, well, my email is going to be what I am. So this is me. So that's how that email came about.
I love it. It's too funny. Well, I want to share some comments here because we have some good ones. Gusta's here from Sweden. He says it's -22 and snowing in Sweden. Well, it's 13 degrees Fahrenheit here, but we have sun, Gusta. So, and
In Sweden.
I'm sorry?
One of my best friends is in Sweden, in Eskilstuna.
Oh, well, there you go. And then we have a Facebook user. And for those of you that don't know the drill, StreamYard.com/Facebook will give them permission to show us your name. Why they sometimes decide they don't want to show people's names, I don't know. But anyway, Facebook user said, you ladies are powerful. Keep it up. I like that. And also, Fairy Goth Mother, love it. And Gusta liked the male email story. He thought that was good on you. So I like that. But, nice. But I really think that, I mean, first of all, yes, that is really sad that in, 2018 or 2020 or 2021 or whatever it is, that a man is still going to get a faster response or more of a response. Yes. I don't know where this is. Gusta says, what does he say here? Uppsala is my home. I don't know where Uppsala is in Sweden, but
I've only been there once to Sweden.
I would like to go to Sweden. I think it's very cool that Gusta comes in and listens to us. I like that, and watches us. But we're going to get way off track here, and then it's going to be a whole hour of Sweden. So I can't let that happen. But where I was going with the whole internet signature thing was that one of the things that I hear from a lot of women is, I don't know how much to be me. Mm-hmm. And how much, and I mean, leaving aside the sexism of things like if you use a male email, you get a faster response. It's hard to know. And my feeling has always been your personality is your personality. Mm-hmm. And you should let people know up front.
Yes. And there's definitely a fine line. I make absolutely no excuses about who I am, and I'm absolutely authentic and honest about everything that we do and who I am. You can ask me anything and I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, because I just it makes life so much easier. But the one thing that I have found is that I'm in Southwest Virginia. Mm-hmm. I try to be, as a business owner, I want to be apolitical, and I want to stay away from very controversial subjects. Now, me personally, I don't care. Like, I will tell you, but I found that I need to be careful what I post. Like, we were doing a job we did the shirts for the Women's March. That was a job to do. And they asked us to come and to sell shirts there too, which we did. And we got some backlash from that, which I was like, whatever. But so now I want to, like, I don't discriminate. I will take anybody's money. Mm-hmm. No, like, it's all good to me. But I may not post some of the jobs that we're doing because I don't want to stir the pot with my business. Now, on my personal page, I don't give a shit. Like, what you see is what you get. But that's the only line that I will draw. And you can be professional. You can be who you are and still be professional.
Totally agree with that.
So I'm not going to change who I am or what my business looks like. But our biggest thing is being authentic and being ethical, and
Right.
take care of other people so well that you don't want to go anywhere else.
Right. Right.
And
And I think that's a huge thing is plus I think it's just too exhausting to try to pretend to be something, you kind of I think it's easier if you're just like, look, this is me, and then if people don't want to do business with you because of whatever, then
and
it's
really, that's not the case. I'm not saying, come to work wearing a wife beater and overalls and talking to customers. You have to know how to act, but that doesn't mean,
sure.
I'm gonna not be who I am.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean there are lines you have to cross, don't put on your 7-inch stilettos and, your
Or
mini skirt.
maybe, I mean, whatever. Like that,
Or maybe, yeah, maybe you should. I don't know. I guess it's up to whatever clientele you're trying to appeal to, I guess. But um, I just really wanted to address that because first of all, that signature made me laugh like crazy. I loved it, and I do think it's something that a lot of women struggle with is how authentic should they be? Can they be? Do they want to be?
Mhm.
And especially when there is this image of women business owners, either as ball busters
Right.
or, sweet little, they're making cookies in a little frilly apron somewhere.
It's like there's one extreme or the other. Either they
Yeah,
complete bitch, or
right.
think that you're a pushover and that you don't know what you're talking about. And I've had very few, very, very few, but a couple of times I've had people make that mistake. It
Yeah,
doesn't happen often, nor does it happen twice.
right. Well, yeah, because I mean, life's too short. Who needs to deal with that kind of crap? But I really wanted to address that because, like I said, I know it's something that women struggle with. But one of the other things that I want to talk about, and I'm going to put this up here just because you guys need to go check out the Big Lick Screen Printing Facebook page because there is the most adorable video of, I believe it's a couple of your family members.
That's actually my oldest son is our production manager, and
Okay.
that is his son, my grandson.
I thought, okay. And you have to go over and check out this video, guys, because it's the cutest thing ever. But what I really loved about it was the sense of tradition that it's literally teaching the next generation how to do what you guys do.
And I
So
think
this,
the caption on it was, I think, passing on the artistry. I think
yeah, something like that. I don't remember exactly, but like I said, go over to their Facebook page and definitely take a look because it's the most adorable little video. But what I really liked about it is that I mean, first of all, a lot of people say like family business, but I mean, 3 generations now because it's you, your son, and then your grandson.
mm-hmm. Yes.
And, and I also really liked another thing that people ask a lot. And this was another reason why I wanted to talk about it is people talk about what do I put about my business on my page? How do I present my business? And I thought that was a really nice way to do it because it's not a long video, it's not flashy, but
Mm-hmm.
it really reflects, I think, what you want to get across that when you come and do business with us, you're doing business with my family.
Right. Yes, that's
So,
absolutely true. My my oldest son is our production manager. He does all the he produces. And then
mhm.
my youngest son, who is 17, he works a couple days a week and he does everything. We call him our ink engineer. So he does everything, um, you know, mixing blends to catching shirts and, just everything. And then my niece actually comes in 2 days a week and she does all of our reclaim. So
Okay.
we're a family business in the most truest sense.
Now, how old are your grandsons?
I have two grandsons. One is 6, one is 3, and then I have a granddaughter who is a year and a half.
Oh, wow. So the
They're my
next generation is coming.
they're my favorite.
Oh, I'm sure. But it was just, I like, so I'm assuming that your sons probably have worked in the business growing up too.
Yes. Well, this is our 6th year. And
Okay.
I I'm notorious for dragging my kids to conferences and seminars about everything from, specialty inks to shirt lab, and marketing
Hmm.
or real estate, educate, whatever it is. I make them go with me because I think it's the best form of education these days.
Hmm.
Um, so my youngest son, who all through middle school we homeschooled, which meant he came to the shop and did his work at the shop. And
Hmm.
um, and plus part of homeschooling when we did art or part of that is screen printing.
Sure.
This is not his favorite place to be at this point. he's, he is so tired of printing shirts. And the fact that his girlfriend thinks that it's cool makes it even worse because he's like, it's not cool. I've been here forever. I'm tired of being here.
Right.
But
I
my
want to do something else.
right, my oldest grandson is just completely enamored with it. And my niece's daughter, who's I guess my grandniece, she's completely
Hmm.
she's 5, and they just love being here. And they, when they show up, they want to print shirts and they want one of these. And Braden,
Hmm.
this grandson, wants to grow up and he wants to work in the shop like his daddy does. And it's very cool.
Well, I think it's really, I mean, I've talked to other people who have families and other women who have families, and the kids come to the shop a lot, and I think there are a lot of lessons
Mm-hmm.
that they learn that maybe like my mom was a nurse and then a medical administrator, and my dad was an engineer. And I mean, we went to my dad's work sites because he built roads for a while, but you couldn't go, and you just kind of stood on the sidelines and went, ooh, you couldn't participate.
Right. And I remember going with my dad when my dad would have to work on a Saturday. He was a central office technician for Bell South before it became AT&T. And T. And
Hmm.
I would go with him on a Saturday and the building is completely empty. So it's just this massive office building. But I thought it was the coolest thing ever that I got to see inside that world of what he did and
Yeah.
I could be there. So I understand how that magic is for little kids. Like my 17-year-old, there's no magic there. There's none. Like I'm not the person he wants to see at all. He's a, he just wants to stay home with his dog. Like that's all he cares about. His dog, his
Right.
friends, and online. I mean, I tried to get him to go to Hawaii and stay with some friends of ours. They invited him to come for the summer. He said it takes too long to get there.
Now, I'm trying to think back, and granted, it's been a while since I was 17, but I think
Yeah,
I would have gone to Hawaii if somebody said, come to Hawaii. I probably would have gone.
dog doesn't want to leave with animals. I'm like, okay, okay, but
Well, people have different. So does he know what he wants to be when he
he
grows up, I guess?
he definitely has an interest in architecture, and he's got that engineering mindset, which is
Ah.
why I gave him the ink engineer title. Um,
Hmm.
he's he has this insatiable curiosity about how things work, and he's
Hmm.
really good with electricity, and that's his. Both my boys are introverts. I don't know what's going on there.
Well, everybody's got to find their own path. And I know as a parent, it's hard to let that happen. But I just like the whole, I mean, I am kind of jealous in a way of little girls who are growing up with role models like you to see how, because I mean, my mom always worked from the time I was little. So I knew that women did that, but she never had her own business.
Right.
She always worked for someone. So I think there's a certain kind of power in seeing.
It's interesting that you say that, because my mom and dad got married when she was 15.
Oh,
And
wow, that's young.
yes, yes. And I mean, I told you we're from Southwest Virginia. Let me tell you. So no joke. Like I remember having an outhouse, like no joke. It was a big deal when we had indoor plumbing, right? But I remember my mom, when I was in grade school, she went back to school to get her GED, and I helped her with her homework when I was in grade school. And then
Okay.
on after that, to get her nursing license, she got her LPN, and then she went back to college again for her nursing degree. And now my mom has a master's in nursing. But the fact that, like, that was my role model. Like, it didn't matter who you were, it didn't matter if you had kids, like, you always work something out so that you could still get better and better and better. So I have that example. And I never thought that I couldn't do anything, because I saw my mom keep doing that.
Right.
And like nothing held her back. And I have two sisters. So my dad had three girls, and not once did I ever feel like we couldn't do just as much as the boys, or that we weren't valuable as the boy. He never had, never wished for a boy. It was nothing like that. So I was really lucky that I was surrounded with that mindset, and so many strong female role models around me.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
when I see other people's experience that haven't had that, then it's just shocking to me. I guess that's why it was so shocking to me that, the sexism still exists. So, I mean, it is. And the
No,
other,
well, if you're, yeah.
right. And I went, I've been in a female dominated industry even before I opened this business, because as a hygienist, like, we're all women. I worked for a female,
Right.
like, I never had that experience. And so, when somebody kept pointing it out, I was like, nah, really? No. But then I started paying attention, like the UPS guy would walk in and turn around to my customer and have my customer sign it. And I'm like, bitch, I'm the one behind the big desk. Do I not look like the owner? Like, it's the customer. So, I was really lucky in that sense. But I always wanted to, like, grow up and be like a CEO, or, something. I didn't really see myself falling into this business. Like, I'm not really a CEO, but
Well, you own it. I'd say that's
yeah,
as CEO as you get. So.
right, yes, yes,
But I think there's something really interesting there in that your experience informs what you expect too. I mean, you never really expected that
right.
you couldn't be what you wanted to be. So therefore, and in my mindset, I always wanted a career, and I never really was big on having kids or anything like that. And
No,
people would
no,
say, don't you want that? Don't you want it? And I was like, no, I want to work and I want to do stuff. And you know,
yes,
and honestly, my family was a little screwed up. So I felt like I did a lot of parenting when I was young. So I was kind of over it. But um, I think it's interesting how the experiences that you have, and I mean, your mother sounds like she was amazing to get married at 15 and do all that.
dude, my mom is a rock star, no joke. My dad had Huntington's disease, and
Oh,
and we didn't know it was in our family. We had no idea. So
mm,
I was living in New Orleans, and I moved back to Virginia and went, and then, here I am, single mom with two boys. And my dad was just diagnosed with Huntington's, and my mom worked
oh,
nights at the VA. And I was like, shit, what am I going to do now? And I'm like, well, I let me go to school because I'm really good at that. To go and I'll get my degree in dental hygiene because the hours are great and the pay is
Mhm.
good. Take care of both my boys by myself. And then I can help my mom with my dad. And she works nights and I work days, and we would swap off taking care of my dad. Not
Oh,
real,
wow.
not realizing what Huntington's was. That was
Mm.
a lot of lessons. But it worked out great. Like when he passed, he really passed in the best way that we could have hoped for. He was home, he was with all of us, all of his
Mm.
friends from church were able to come and see him and spend time with him. And he had his little damn rat dog that he liked so much. But it really worked out well for him.
Mhm.
I don't mean to sound morbid, but he had a good death. If you, I don't know, does that sound bad? I don't mean.
No, I mean, my mother died of liver cancer and she died at home, and we were able to go and I got to sing to her and all that. And so I totally get what you're talking about. I mean, it wasn't like, yay, this is a great thing or anything, but she
Right,
wasn't in pain.
right.
She got to go on her own terms.
Dignified. Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. So I
So
totally get that.
yeah, it it made, but my mom went through all that too. We have such a strong, my mom had 11 brothers and sisters. Well,
Wow.
two of them died at birth. The twins died at birth. She had two brothers and the rest were sisters. So we have this massive, you know,
That's a lot of estrogen running around, man.
so it never occurred to me that we couldn't do whatever we wanted. What do you mean I can't do what I want to do? Like my dad,
Right.
I could do whatever I wanted to do. Um, but I didn't I didn't want to grow up and get married and have kids. And I just felt like that was um like just like you were shackled. You know what I mean? And so when I found out I had Dean's little brother, Julian, who's my oldest, an angel of the Lord, said, "Hey, you're gonna have a kid," and I'm like, "No, I'm not." I said, "Yeah, you are." But that was just, I'm like, well, like if this is what's happening, I need to go with it. Like that's the
Mm.
reason, because I was very careful. So and it worked out. Like it has not been easy at all.
Oh, no, I imagine not.
Um, but it all works out in the end. You just have to keep going. That's the thing. Like nothing's ever going to work out the way you want it to. You just got to keep going through all the bullshit and just keep moving forward. Just keep going.
Well, and I love that because I was actually thinking about that today. I'm up here in the new studio, and the part of me that's a perfectionist is going, this is totally wrong. It shouldn't be. I should have this and I should do this, and the light's not right, and I don't like this. And I was like, you know what? Go up there and do it, and then you'll have done it, and then you can concentrate on the next thing and fix the next thing. But if you're totally right, you have to keep going. And I want to throw in another comment here because I like this. Whoops, except I have to hit the right thing or it's not going to go. There we go. Hello from Idaho. I love the family working together. Thank you, Liz. That's nice that you
Me,
commented. I appreciate that.
I love that.
So I know. Well, I just love it when people take the time to say, "Hey, we're watching," and let us know that they're listening. That always makes me happy. But since we're almost halfway through this already and we've gotten to one topic I wanted to talk about, I want to move on to the next one just because this is how this always goes. This is nothing new. We get talking and new things come up and it's like, I'm so excited. But I do want to talk about empowering female entrepreneurs because that's part of what this show is about is helping women be better business owners, more comfortable business owners. So when you say that your business empowers female entrepreneurs, in what way, I guess, is the question I will ask.
I didn't realize that this was happening. Um, I hadn't really thought about it until someone brought it to my attention. And I did the Gauntlet Small Business Competition.
Okay.
And I have a lot of people that come to me from the Gauntlet. And what I noticed is that I have so many customers who are women, and they come to me because no one else listens to them.
Ah.
So what happens is either they own businesses, or like I have a lot of law enforcement that come to me, a lot of female law enforcement, because they can't stand the shirts they're getting and nobody will listen. They're like, we want our own stuff. And I'm like, okay, this is what we have. And I've found a lot of female business owners were coming to me because the same situation. And it's like I was talking before, either it's one extreme or the other. There's no in between. And so they're either, people talk over them, or they talk to you because they think they know what you're trying to ask. But I guess the mansplaining, whatever. And someone sent me a message not long ago, and they said, hey, just so you know, when we came in there and got our shirts, we didn't expect to be received the way that you brought us into your shop and like brought us in. And because you, now we feel like we can, do what we want to do, and we can demand more respect from our customers. And we don't have to be, meek and mousy or whatever. And I was like, well, I didn't even do anything. And she said, yes, you did, because you're fearless. And I'm like, I'm not fearless. I give a shit what people think. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
But I mean, I understand that, because we're in our society wants women to be very accommodating.
Oh, yeah.
If we're not accommodating, then, that's just, it's too much. And I've had that comment several times. And I'm like, you can be fearless and still be, you can still take care of your customers, and you can still be accommodating, but that doesn't mean you have to compromise.
Right.
That's the difference. So, and I really go out of my way to help other female entrepreneurs if they need help with branding or whatever. Like, I'm SWAM certified. So if another business is, then I'm going to give them a little lanyard to, make, I don't know if you know what lanyard is.
I saw it in one of the articles that but tell everybody who's listening, because they may not.
Lanyard is, it's a little something extra is what it means. It's a term that under promise and over deliver always.
Exactly.
Other female businesses really want to do a great job and help them out. Any way that I can help them out, I'm going to find a way to do that. Whether it's, helping with their logo, or whether it's, upgrading their shirts, or whatever it may be. So that little bit when you're first starting out makes a huge difference in a small business.
I would agree with that. Well, and I want to bring up the point, because there was something that you said that I think is very interesting. Women are kind of taught to be accommodating. So a guy can walk into a shop and say, I don't like these shirts. I want shirts that fit my muscles better, or I want shirts that fit my paunch better, or whatever it is. Not that a guy's probably going to say that, but you know what I mean. And people will go, oh, that's totally, they probably won't even think about it.
That's assertive.
Yes, they're being assertive, or they're being, they know what they want. They're being men. But if women go in and do the same thing,
then they're being bitchy.
Yeah, then they're being bitchy, or they're being demanding, or why do women think that we have to do everything special just for them? So I think on a couple of levels, this is interesting. One, it's a really good opportunity for female business owners to find other female business owners that they can serve really well, because
yes,
I think probably every woman who owns a business has dealt with someone at some point who's been an asshole, basically.
Right. Yes.
So I really like that. And I think that's, it isn't even really a niche. It's just something to be aware of, that when you're dealing with another female business owner,
Yes.
be a little more aware of that. I like that a lot.
And what's really interesting to me is I think that a lot of men, especially older men, don't even know they're doing it. That's the part that's so frustrating.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm 52, just turned 52 last week. And there were a lot of attitudes that I mean, my father, it's a whole thing. But I grew up with a guy who liked women, but basically thought they were good for three things. And I was exempt from one of those things because I was his daughter.
Well, at least you're, I mean,
yeah, the other two I was good for. I could cook and clean, but and I rebelled against that from like the minute I was old enough to have cognitive thought. I was like, no, this is not how this is going, dude.
Yeah.
But that attitude, I kind of developed a little bit of a, oh, well, that's how guys are kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's part of it too, is when you encounter that sort of stuff, you have to call it out. And that's hard to do. But, if you don't call it out, then the older men who have always been this way are never going to realize it.
Right. Like they just they don't get it.
Yeah, they don't get it, and they don't. I mean, and it's and a lot of time.
It took me a long time to realize that they don't realize that they're doing it. And so then I was like, well, okay, they don't know they're doing it, so they're just ignorant. And then on the flip side, I'm like, well, that's even more of an upsetting situation, because that's how ingrained it is.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get it. And I'm totally not. I mean, I have sons, I have grandsons, I have tons. So many of my best friends are men. Like, I am not against men at all. I love men. So I don't want it to come across like I'm man bashing. I'm absolutely not.
I'm smiling at this. I got to stop you for a minute. Because I'm smiling at this, because I have said that exact thing like 5 million times, because I bring these issues up a lot. Here's the part that bugs me about that. Why do we feel like we have to say that? Why can't we just say this is a thing and guys need to be aware of it, and not have to go into, but I really like men? Because when
I don't want anyone to think that I'm anti-men, because that's the first.
I understand that.
Say. The first thing that people are going to say is, oh, blah, blah. No, that's not it at all. And not all of them are like that. In fact, I would say that most now are not at all like that. At least the ones that I know really well. Every time there'll be a much older business owner, a good old boy, and bless their hearts, you just got to explain to them what it's really like, and they're usually okay.
Well, and
yeah,
I just do think that's interesting that both of us were like, we're talking about this problem that we encounter, but we both like men. We're not. I'm like, that's an interesting kind of societal thing.
People are so quick to like throw you into a category, and there's no category. Bless their hearts, there's no category for me at all, girl. I'm here to tell you. But like,
there's not really one for me either.
But just, I'm not like, I feel like with my daddy, he was so hardcore Christian, and he was so adamant that we could do whatever. It was so incongruent with his faith, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
And I do.
That it's kind of an anomaly. So I guess reluctant feminist or an inadvertent feminist, maybe. I don't know. It's such a conundrum.
But I laugh about it because women's issues and this whole women's has kind of become a thing for me in the past couple years, and I never would have thought this would be the platform, but it is, and I love it now.
And what's the other interesting thing is that it's not it's hard for people to understand that just because that's not your experience doesn't mean it's not happening.
Right, exactly.
You know, my children are biracial, and you know, my son, his sons are not going to have the same experiences that he has. That's just fortunately, that's our society. It's getting better, hopefully, but there's an awareness there that we didn't have before we had biracial grandchildren.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Grandchildren. And so that's my example of your experiences are not discounted because they're not somebody else's experiences.
Mm-hmm.
The joy is that we all learn how to like mesh the experiences together and all be better for it. And
exactly.
And humans instead of, you know, all these labels that we have. And it's definitely going to be a century's work in progress, but still, at least we get every day.
Well, and I think I firmly believe that the more experiences that you can learn about from other people, the better you understand, you know, because a lot of us, especially right now, especially politically, tend to be in your little bubble and you only hear what's in your bubble and you don't know what, you know, and it's like that does so much damage. So don't get me started on that or we'll be here for another 3 hours.
Yeah.
But I want to throw in, go ahead.
It has to do with video too. We were talking earlier, everything is video now. And so people don't like to read. And instead of following up and really finding out the truth and the information, they're going to take snippets or they're going to take, you know, they're going to read the headline. And instead of saying, you know, I mean, everything can be skewed a certain way. You can take sound however you want it to. And I think most people don't want to put in any effort and they just, it's easier to make assumptions and go on. But
and it's easier to assume that anybody that says that they're a certain thing believes a certain way and behaves a certain way. And, you know, it's like, you don't know. But anyway, I want to throw out a few more little comments here. I think this came from back when we were talking about not having to be perfect. Good to hear. I've been wanting to start a business a couple of years and life keeps happening and I haven't yet. Still learning though. Well, keep learning, Liz, and keep going. And Erin's here. Whoops, this went wrong. Okay, we're just going to be dorky for no reason at all. Let's try this again. There, Erin's here. Hello, Erin. And Carolyn's here. Oh, ignorance is easy, Carolyn says. And I think she's right. It is. Ignorance is much easier than taking the time. Ignorance and assuming.
There's a bell curve for a reason. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's totally true. But I think it's also easy to make assumptions based on how somebody looks or the car they drive or the church they go to or, you know, and it's like people are so much more than the little boxes we try to put them in that it's just really annoying. But okay, I have one more thing I have to ask you about because when I saw it, I went, okay, I got to hear about this. Vending at horror shows?
Yes.
Okay, so are we talking like the zombies are coming or like movie horror shows or costumes or what kind of things?
What happened was.
Okay, there's a story. I love stories.
So what happened was when I was going through college to get my dental hygiene license, I was selling sex toys on the side, like Tupperware, except they're, you know, home parties for women. Sure. And my our company was bought out by another company. And I'm like, I do not want to have to go through all this again, especially when I'm just doing it part-time. And it would be a massive to change everything over and blah, blah, blah. So this really good friend of mine was like, hey, I have a friend that does these drawings of, like, the creature from the Black Lagoon or whatever,
Sure, sure.
wants to go to sell them at these conventions. Will you go with us because you can talk to people? Will you just go and like kind of show him what to do,
Mm-hmm.
talk to people or whatever, because he knows how to draw, but he's an idiot around humans. So we went, and oh honey, there was no help for this guy. Bless his heart. Um anyway, so I went and I was looking around and I was like, well, everybody wants to buy a t-shirt,
Mm-hmm.
could get some shirts and come to these and sell them and make bank. So
Mm-hmm.
we started doing that. And I had the worst time finding a screen printer that wasn't, that was consistent and
All
reliable.
right.
Is what I'm,
Okay.
and we went through about four. And finally,
Ooh.
well, obviously there's a need in this area. What would we have to do this ourselves? And so I'm like, well, do I really want to get into this? And I'm like, well, my other businesses, I could do this. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's how we started our company. And we started doing these horror shows. Like we did Walker Stalker Con. So we did a bunch of stuff with The Walking Dead. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we started doing Monster Mania. And then my favorite is probably Scares That Care in Williamsburg, Virginia. And they do it usually around August every year. But they
Mm-hmm.
free recipients, childhood cancer recipients, and all of the money from that convention that weekend goes to help with their medical bills.
Oh
So
wow, I've never heard of this. This is awesome.
yeah, it's Scares That Care. It's a charity horror convention, and that's probably our favorite one. And it really is, it's just a really cool kind of eclectic family. But it's everyone
Mm-hmm.
that loves any kind of monsters, whether it's the new horror stuff like Walking Dead, which has definitely jumped the shark, or whether it's the old school, Frankenstein and
Sure.
all that. So it's everything in between. We were Elvira was inducted into the Horror Host Hall of Fame. I have such a hard time saying horror. It sounds like whore. Like
Mm-hmm.
horror. Well, I mean it's Elvira. No, I'm just kidding. But so Elvira was inducted into the Hall of Fame, and we got to print her
Mm-hmm.
shirts that year.
Oh,
So
cool.
that was really cool for us to be able to do that. And she autographed them, and that was cool. And then we do, like, I met George R. Martin that wrote Game of Thrones,
Oh, wow.
and he like autographed our shirt that we did for them. And so it's been kind of cool. We've met a lot of really interesting people. And
So, so it was just something kind of that this guy was not, he was a good artist, but not so great with like, humanity. So
oh Lord have mercy. Like you can't help him.
yeah, I've met people. I know people like that.
Yeah. No, I
Very
couldn't.
talented in their particular area, but just don't leave them alone with like humans because
Right.
they're
Yeah.
not going to be good.
But I was like, we could do this a couple of weekends and really, because I was looking for like an additional stream of income. I wasn't looking to start
Sure.
a business, but it just kind of, I realized there's obviously a massive need in our area. And so here I sit
Here
on
you
the
sit.
six
Occasional ink slinger and fairy goth mother,
yes,
which is not my new favorite thing now. I love that. But what I like about this story the most is that you looked around and you tried something and looked at it and went, hey, there's a way to make money here. Let me figure out how to do that. And then you went through a bunch of people who couldn't do what you wanted and you went, well, screw it, there's another way to make money here. So let's, I love that you were paying attention
yes.
and figuring out how to make the circumstances work for you. So that's like textbook entrepreneurship right there, basically.
Well, and
But
happened to this past year. Like I accidentally stumbled onto like making Christmas ornaments. I had somebody gave me a Christmas tree. They're like, "Hey, you want a Christmas tree?" And I was like, "It's 2020. I'm almost done. Like, I'm putting up a Christmas tree this year in the shop. Let's do it. Why not?" And I'm like, "Well, what
Right.
am I going to put on it?" And so we do sublimation, and I happened to see that you could sublimate ornaments, and I'm like, I'm going to take all of my customers and I'm going to make an ornament with their logo on it and decorate my Christmas tree. So if
Oh,
I do,
that's so cool.
yeah, so if I do a video, then they might see their logo on my Christmas tree. Oh my God, we sold hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ornaments. I didn't think anybody else would want them, but we ended up doing, I mean, a ridiculous amount of Christmas ornaments, which is great because December is usually dead. So,
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to put up here again whoops, I cannot hit the right key to save my life today. I don't know what my deal is. This is the website if you all want to go check it out. But what all do you guys do anyway? I mean, you do screen printing, obviously.
we do screen printing, embroidery, sublimation, promo, like my lovely, my water. This is my New Year's resolution. I'm trying to drink water. It's not working out,
It's not
but
working out.
I can sublimate these polar camels. They're like, Yeti water
Well,
bottles.
it's a very cool bottle. You just need to drink out of it.
So, promo items and decorate.
Mm-hmm.
If it'll hold still, I'll print it or embroider it or whatever.
And I also know, and I'll include the links to all this stuff in the show notes when I put up the video in a couple of days. But you've also won a couple of awards. When you emailed me, you said you just found out you won a gold medal for, what was that for now?
It was Most Savvy Entrepreneur in the Best of edition of Roanoke.
Wow, I love that.
I know.
Now, is that...
It's because they haven't seen my financial statement, girl.
Well, is this something that the community votes on, or?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Every year they do a best of edition, and they do, everything from best doctor to best whatever in
right.
Southwest Virginia, Roanoke Valley or whatever. And I didn't even know I'd been nominated. I had no idea.
So that's really cool. That's really cool. So what I was... Okay, I got to ask you one last thing because it was in your bio and I had to look it up because I had no clue what it is. Kempo.
Yes. So
would you explain, please?
Okay, so Kempo is a style of Chinese karate, and
Okay.
I stumbled into martial arts because as a single mother, I was trying to find positive role models for my boys.
Okay.
Because as a woman, I can't teach them how to be a man. I can teach them how to treat women.
Right.
So I really was looking for some strong male role models because I'm here to tell you, especially my oldest son, he is hell on wheels. Just so you like, I'm glad he has calmed down quite a bit. But anyway, so that's how I kind of stumbled into martial arts, and I entered several disciplines before I went with Universal Kempo Karate. And so both my boys started training when they were 4 years old. Once I graduated with my license, then I started training too, not because I really wanted to train, but because then my kids couldn't talk me out of not going because I'm like, I got to go too.
Right.
It was something too that we could do together. So,
sure.
And I tested for my student black belt in Hawaii, which I strongly encourage other people not to do because I don't know if you can tell, but I kind of glow in the dark and I want to keep it that way. Like
me too.
I don't do the sun. I don't do the heat.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of that in Hawaii. And
you and I would be really good. We could go hang out together because I don't do sun or heat either.
Yeah. So, and when we tested outside on the side of a mountain in Hawaii, like some kind of karate.
Good Lord.
It was just ridiculous. And then I had to carry a cinder block and I had to run. Thank God it started pouring down rain because I never would have been able to survive it if it hadn't. But I ended up heat stroke and dehydration. But by God, I came home with my black belt.
Oh my goodness.
Broke my
That's like badass right there, man.
We had to break our bricks. We had to break boards. We had to it was great all day. It was insane. And then, not last year, 2019, I tested for my first degree in Vegas, which was air conditioned. Dear God, that was so much better. So I'm just saying, if you have to test and do an 8-hour test for your black belt, do it in the air conditioning.
Yeah, don't do it in the sun, in the humidity, even though Hawaii's pretty, that's not the place to.
It's the hardest thing I've ever done, ever. And I had both of my kids with no drugs, no intervention, no epidural, nothing.
Oh.
Rather do that every day than try to run around carrying a cinder block barefoot on the side of a mountain.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Well, just the thought of how much sun there would be there and how hot it would be because I'm like you.
If it hadn't been raining, there's no way I could have done it. No way.
Oh. Well, I imagine the rain was its own special kind of fun, but at least there was no sun.
That's the other thing. It cooled it off.
Yeah.
But
wow.
Yeah, that was an amazing experience.
I imagine. So you have your black belt now. So it's a form of karate is what it is.
Yes.
Okay. Because like I said, once I saw it in your bio, I had to look it up because I don't like not knowing things.
It's a self-defense martial art. It's not a sport.
Okay.
So, whereas like Taekwondo it's a sport.
So they don't have like competitions somewhere where you can go and.
Well, we'll have like sparring tournaments sometimes. Like every year we have seminar.
Okay.
And seminar is like 3 days of fine tuning your material and learning new things. And people go and they test after it. So you go to day, and then people who are testing will go to the test for like 6 hours or however long it is. So it's grueling, truly.
Sounds like it.
It's the best thing I could have done for my kids. And now my grandson has started training too.
Oh, that's very cool. So your boys actually took to it and continued it, and
they didn't like it. They didn't like it when I had to make them go because But my youngest son, the 17-year-old, he will be testing this year for his adult. He started as a peewee when he was 4 years old, and so now he'll be testing for his student black.
Wow. Well, then there was something there that got to them because they stuck with it. I mean, at some point
they don't have a choice. They have to go. That's part of the rules of the family. You've got to go. You have to train.
Oh, I see. So it's like if you want to be part of the family, you got to know how to do this. You got to kick some ass.
Well, it's part of taking care of yourself. For me, it's a personal responsibility issue. It's your responsibility to take care of yourself so that you can take care of your family and other people who depend on you.
Okay, that makes sense. Totally makes sense.
Dragging my boys all around the world, like I had to be able to take care of them. So, I wanted that self-defense because you never know what might happen, and then I want them to be able to, and it's not just the self-defense, it's also the philosophy. So the first thing you want to do is just be aware so you don't have to end up in a bad situation.
Right. And I mean, I think there's a lot of value for everybody, but especially for women, says the woman who's never taken a self-defense class, but it's something that's on my list. So I definitely think that's valuable. And I hate to say this, but we're like at an hour. Uh-oh. And my light just fell over, so I think it wants to be done.
We survived the whole hour.
Oh, I knew we would. We could go for another hour, I think, probably, but I know you have stuff to do, and I think 2 hours, I've done 2 hours before, but not with this particular podcast. So
yeah, nobody cares about me as much.
Well, I like the comments we're getting. Erin said, I did it too and loved it. I'm assuming some kind of martial arts. Carolyn, awesome. No slow payers in her shop. I think she missed the beginning, but yeah, you could kick their butts. So, but I want to say thank you so much. I'm so glad that you wanted to come and do this. It's been fascinating.
Thanks
I
for
could talk to.
appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome back anytime. We'll give it a little bit, and maybe you can come back and talk to us some more because this was just amazing. I really appreciate it. I'm going to pop you out and say goodbye. And
see y'all later.
Thank you so much. All right, that was so fun. I love these conversations. I learn something new every time. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Join us next week on Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard. My guest will be Cassie Green from Graphics Pro Magazine. She is the editor. So I love this conversation. It was so much fun. Thank you all for being here. And I will talk to you next week. Same time, same place, hopefully without my light falling over. Bye, everybody. Thanks.